Says this meeting is being live streamed.
Okay, we're live now.
All right.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you're joining us from. My name is Brenda Unu, and we're live on your favorite program, Women's Matters. Um, so why are we here today? It's the month of October, it's the month of November. Oh my God, we're almost at Christmas.
The
And
month of
that will bring
November.
us, I know, and that brings us to our second year of running Women's Matter, started in December of 2023. And by December of 2025, it would have been 2 years. Yay! I'm super excited. So, welcome, 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 everyone. And thank you so much for joining us today, Nnenna. I have in the studio today our delectable guest, Nnenna Amaechi-Obioha. You're going to know about her in a bit, but we'll be talking about how to make connections through your story. And Nnenna has fabulous stories. She has stories for days. In fact, I don't even know what she's going to tell us today because we don't talk about these things beforehand, but we're happy and we're open to hearing how she's going to take it. So before we go into the conversation, Nana, please tell us about yourself. Tell us, you know how we do it on the show. Toot your horn. Feel free, to just give us everything. We are here for you. All right. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you as always. I know that when you always call, we come, will I say we come running. So my name is Nnenna Amaechi-Obioha. I am a chartered accountant with over 20 years of experience. I'm a founder of Relia 365 Consults. I'm a business consultant and management consultant as well. I help businesses simplify their systems and processes to gain financial freedom and success. And beyond consulting, I also manage my family companies. We're into haulage and we're also into facilities management. Uh, Aside those hats that I wear, I'm a mom of three beautiful girls, and I'm passionate about helping women, teach them how to build wealth beyond, um, and be, sustaining wealth to build a lasting legacy for themselves. Thank you. Can you hear me? You froze a bit.
I can hear you. Okay, it's me that's freezing, right? That means I have to change my internet because I'm using a Wi-Fi. I would have thought that would be better. Go on, let me go. Let me go to MTN peacefully. Okay, apps, and hopefully we'll be fine. All right. So thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for the introduction. In fact, I always like to hear introduction. It's always sweeting me. Like, we're running
Ah,
family businesses, and I'm thinking, go girl.
it's an abridged version, really.
I know. I wonder why you abridge. Do not abridge. Give it to us. We can take it. Huh? Give us.
Time,
So, like
next
I
time
always
we'll read
ask
the.
my guests, what yeah, I know, I know. I always ask my guests, what drew you to today's topic? What part of it, spoke to you that made you think, okay, I can take this. Tell me.
I would say, well, first of all, your topics are usually very relatable. It's not like, oh, a
Mm,
two-step or 10-step plan to achieving financial, there's nothing too complicated about your topics. So your topics are
mm,
relatable to everyone in whatever season they are in their lives. And when I saw I know in October you were talking about building visibility and branding, personal branding and all. So when I saw
yeah.
this topic, I think, yeah, the secrets to creating connection through story. I know that you've always said everybody has a story in them, and everybody has a book in them, really, as an author that you are, and one who encourages women to share their story. So that was what really, resonated with me, because we all have our unique stories in whatever seasons of life that we are. Our stories
Mm.
are unique to the experiences that we have. And sometimes and I know you said this before on one of our coaching calls, like, where you said, sometimes we feel when people say, oh, your story, it mustn't be all gloom and trauma and challenge. It could be a successful story. It doesn't have to be all about, or how it could be a beautiful story that you share. So that was what really resonated with me. So sometimes your story
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a bad story, but it has to, for your story, you really just have to, share whatever lessons you've learned. So that's what actually helps you, to connect with, whoever is being impacted by that story. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I like the way that you put it. You know, not many people are able to say, oh, I have this story. They always think that it has to be something that is very gloomy or very bush, so emotional, tear-jerking or something. And to be honest, it doesn't have to be. Not everybody has to have the dreary stories. You can come to us with your fun stories. You can come to us with your winning stories. I mean, I followed the girl there just because she told me about how she was always acing stuff. Like she had gotten how many scholarships all her life, all the courses, degrees she had done, she had gotten scholarships. I'm like, what a lucky person. Like, of course, I know it's not all luck, but there's a lot of preparation and all that. But the point is that she has winning things to share. And it also attracts people, So your stories are your stories, whether it is a winning story or a gloomy story, it's all part of your journey, right? God, because nobody ever has only all gloomy or only all winning. There's always a mix and match for each and every one of us. So, in every point in time, if you feel led to share the sweet stories, please feel free. We are here for it. We are not wicked people that is only bad story we want to be hearing. We say, oh, no, no, no. We like the good stuff too. So,
Exactly.
feel free to share. Absolutely. We like the good stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for pointing that out and reminding us about that. It's always very important. So today you are our teacher. Me, I'm just here to moderate the conversation. Stevie, tell us how did you see this topic? What was the first thing that came to your mind when you saw it, and how did you intend to approach it? So we're here for you. We're taking notes. In fact, let me get my phone. So I'm taking notes as you're speaking.
So what resonated with me was the connection, because I don't think I've seen a topic like that. I know we talk about how our stories and the lessons that we've learned, but I think the word that
Mm,
stood out for me was the connection, because we are all human beings, and we all desire some form of connection. And one of the greatest tools that God gave us was to build connection. you know from how we read the Bible is a beautiful book of, a love story between us and God. It teaches us how God, we were created, and then through the journey, through the struggles and the triumphs and the mistakes, and eventually to the redemption. So every being is built for connection. God wants to connect with us. We also connect with people through our stories. Um, so in my
yeah.
own field as an accountant, we go through a lot of figures. We crunch numbers and all. But surprisingly, during my time as an external auditor, you would then look at
Mm,
these figures, and every figure tells a story. So for every time we would go and audit a company, I remember particularly when we were doing like a food company which had branches all over the south. And then this particular case was like a bakery. So you would look at the figures, you would have to ask questions. Oh, why this? Why, as an auditor, to arrive at, why this figure came about. And then surprisingly, because it was a bakery, I would surprisingly look at bread differently, because I'm like, behind this bread, there's
Yeah,
whole story behind the manufacturing, the production, the this and
I
that, and
know.
it all stems from just looking at the figures and then delving deeper. So I would say it was that connection. So you're able to, so as an accountant, you're able to connect the figures, connect the numbers to the stories. We talk about indexes and all of that. We talk about ratios. So for me, every figure would tell a story. So for us, as God has told us, as children, we all learned, the Bible stories. Jesus would always teach with parables because he wanted
Mm,
to connect. He wasn't like they'll say
yes.
Jesus was not a motivational speaker. He didn't go to some
Mhm,
king's palace and say, okay, pay for my Zoom course or pay for my webinar. He taught to, he taught to, he told stories that was relatable. And for us,
mm,
you would see those stories, and you'll be like, okay, what can I just, as a child, you would all everybody will remember the parable. So as as we
yes.
grow, you begin to relate to those stories. Even when they say, okay, when you read your Bible every day, or if you've read the Bible, every time you go back to that chapter or to that book, you would find something new. So it's that connection that that stood
Mm.
out for me for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said, and truly, we all remember the stories. We all remember the stories that were told as kids, stories we listened to until the moonlight, stories that we read, even from books and all of that. So stories actually do have a lasting, a lasting way
Impression.
of just a lasting impression, creating a lasting impression with us, and it does indeed build connections, because sometimes, in fact, today my siblings and I were just on a chat group, and we're talking about so many things, and we had gone down so memory lane so much. Everybody was telling stories, and it was interesting how the stories look different through each of our lenses. The same thing happened. And this one would say, this was how I saw it. So, and we would think, oh my God, so where did that come from? And there were some narratives that we had put in our head, and we're like, where did that one come from? It was just interesting, and seeing how the shared stories was even able to, build more bonding with us, even just this evening and all of that. So I just really like, that you shared that. And to be honest, you are completely correct. So if we think about this, what would a woman do in terms of, okay, I want to build connection, maybe with an audience, or with some people, maybe in particular, maybe you want to do, maybe it's your work in your workplace, maybe it's in your family, maybe it's you starting out a ministry, or something, a movement of some sort, and you just want to build connection. Where do you start from? How do you pick which stories to share? How do how to, where do you even start from? And that's what I would like you to share, your thoughts on that.
Okay, so as a woman, I think you should start from first, understanding where you are, like you said, as a professional woman, as a businesswoman, or even perhaps a stay-at-home mom. Start from what you're comfortable with sharing, because um,
Mm,
there's no story that is too. If you feel that, okay, let me use two opposite sides. If you feel your story is from a challenge or a struggle that you went through, like they will say, if every time you told the story, maybe it makes you cringe, or it sets off some type of emotion, then you're probably not ready to tell that
mm,
story. But if you
mm,
feel you've overcome it, and with the lessons you've learned, you're able to then share, because sometimes our experiences are not just for us, they're for other people to learn. If you feel
mm,
you are comfortable, because I feel that vulnerability builds the bridges, for how you want to connect, being authentic with yourself. And I know that there was a time that I read you share a particular story, and there was something that
yeah.
you said that stuck with me. Your life story or your experiences, don't share it like gist. It's not gist, it's not gossip, it's your life
Mm,
story. So there are certain ways you share your story. If it's had other individuals involved, like per se, of course, definitely as women, it was, surrounded by
yeah.
family. If you have family members involved, maybe you do not need to share intricate details, because there are other people involved. But, start from where you're
Mm.
comfortable with. You will also have to protect whoever, because it could be, say,
Close the door.
you had problem with your spouse, with your siblings, and that was where, your experiences come from. You could probably protect, those parts of the stories, but be authentic to, how you want to start. That it would help you share that connection, because when people hear you, people don't just connect to perfect stories. People connect to real stories. And
Yeah.
another side of the coin would be something positive. I know that, as women, there had been that push of, oh, women, own your story, do many things, you're not just about family. But I think, I think it was a few months ago, when I scrolled through social media, just before school started, I noticed this trend of, homemakers, moms, probably stay at home. I don't know all of their story. And
Mm.
a lot of them had this story of, oh, pack my kids' lunch with me. And I remember
Mm.
back then, I think it was, one of these ladies, the Lagos moms, the
Lagos
Lagos
housewives.
housewife.
Lagos housewife.
Yeah, she started,
Yeah.
yeah, I think she started that trend then.
Mm,
And
mm,
then we
mm,
can
mm.
see how she's built a brand, built and we see how these moms have come to their own. Back in the day, it would be, oh, a woman who's a CEO, executive, but we then see relatable stories as young moms. We all know, as a mother, or, how difficult it could be
Mm.
to just
The
do
drama around
school
packing
lunch.
lunch. Yeah.
I know, launches, versus you entering your car with your driver and going to sit in an office. That there, right in your kitchen, can be like a whole storytelling activity. So I saw this trend, and I was like, oh, these women are doing a lot of, good connections, because you would see that their following was a lot just by packing school lunches. And then you will see that,
Mm,
brands started endorsing some of these women, the Milo
mm,
brands, the milk brand, all of these things, because these were women that you could relate with. So, like I would go back to, start from where you can share authentically from. It's not about
mm,
perfection, it's about progress, it's about, being consistent with your story. You have to be real,
mm,
so that you connect with who you're meant. Your story is not for everybody. Your story is
mm,
set for, people. If it's a story of your healing, when you share that story, you've given permission for people to heal. People will say, oh, I went through that. Oh, with all, so it creates that
yeah.
connection, and people are like, oh, it happened to me too. And then sometimes you hear women share their stories, and you'll be like, ah, everything this woman shared was what I went through, but going back to it,
Yeah.
yeah, going back to it, your story has to draw the lessons. What were the lessons? You're not just creating gist, You're not just, putting a
Mm,
story out there for you to be the hero. There were lessons that you learned. For every challenge could have been a stepping stone for you to, fulfilling purpose. And if we relate it back to, reading stories from the Bible, especially as we just finished reading the book of Psalms, we saw how, the King David, with all his, you know splendor and grandeur, was very vulnerable when he was talking to God. So if you're able to pour out your
mm,
heart, in your story, people will relate to it, people will connect to it, and that would then
mm.
help you find your voice. Where you don't, light a lamp and put it under a basket. You shine for people to see. You shine so that
Yeah.
people will see, oh, these were the struggles I went through, this was what I learned, this was, how God, took the glory in this situation. And I would say, nothing is wasted in our stories. There's something for everybody to learn. Nothing is
Yeah.
wasted when you give it to God. And His glory obviously shines through in everyone's story. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like that, especially when you talked about, how relatable some people's stories can be. In fact, in the last few days, I've read two relatable stuff like that that I didn't expect from the people who shared them. The first one was from
Mm.
Evie. Evie is an actress. I think that's her real name. Yeah, Evie. She's an actress, and she's been out of the scenes for a while. And I wondered where she was, but I just thought, oh, well, maybe she's moved on to something else. So it turned out that she had taken a break to have kids, right? And she was trying to
Oh,
re-enter into the acting world. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know that. But this day she was sharing this post, and she had just done this movie, Osayande or something like that, that had just premiered, and people were talking about it, and she thought that when she watched the movie herself, I read the comments, she felt so overwhelmed with gratitude, at being given a chance
mm,
again, because she said that by the time she came back, she found out that, she was not able to enter into the workspace. Every producers had moved on, literally, if you're not always in their face, they don't just make a space for you. So she explained that we don't talk about this enough, of how women struggle to come back into the workforce
mhm,
after they've taken a break to have kids. And, she said if it was not something she really loved to do, she would have just given up and maybe found another business or something. But it was something she had so much passion for. She couldn't think of herself doing anything else. And the thread that day, oh my God, everybody's like, everybody could relate. And I even have a personal story in that direction, so I could completely relate. So it was such a large, comment section that day, so to speak. And that was one. Now, the second one, imagine you wouldn't expect that from Ivy. Ivy is an actress. So when you're seeing them, it's all glamour and, celebrity life and all of that kind of stuff. So I didn't expect that. Second person I didn't expect it from was this morning. I opened Instagram and I saw this girl. I can't remember her name now. Some girl that does this techie stuff. She's always talking about AI, techie tools and everything. Maybe Miss Techie. I think that's her name. I'm not sure, but I think so. So she posted something and she shared about a time when, because she talks about all this techie stuff. She has a lot of brands, endorsements, and all of
mm,
that. She said Meta had invited her to London to speak at a panel. Right, she was supposed to speak at a panel with different community creators and all of that. It was, of course, a very big deal. And she was excited.
mhm,
She had gotten her ticket and she was ready to fly. On the day she was supposed to fly, something happened. She said she had an emergency and she could not fly. And she got home and she was wailing and crying and crying and crying. You see, while she was crying, that in fact, she called her friend and was crying and lamenting, I'm not going to do any content anymore. Oh, after all I've done, that, and the guy even videoed her and sent her the video later and said he was going to laugh at her. So, but guess what happened? After all that crying and everything, Meta called her and said, okay, so you can't make it physically. Do you mind joining virtually? She was like, eh?
mm,
She cleaned her eyes. She's like, yes, I can. Now, she didn't even think that that was an option. She wasn't even in the right frame of mind yet because she had been all over the place crying and all of that. But she was like, I'm not going to let a second opportunity slip, right? And otherwise, I would have given in to my pain to win. So she quickly cleaned up, dressed up, put on her laptop, and joined the call. She said it was such an amazing one. As soon as she finished, she got an email from them thanking her, for showing up and all of that and all of that and all that. And she felt so grateful because she said if she had not, shown up, if she had just laid there in her bed, covered her head, and just said, I want to die. Oh, everything has happened, everything's against me, she wouldn't have, gotten the opportunity to write things. And maybe that was God's way. This is how God wanted it to be. Maybe that flight was not for her.
exactly.
Maybe something could have happened, anything. But
Mhm,
but God did not let her miss the opportunity, even with the whole flight mishap issue. So she shared this to say that I hope I've inspired somebody that sometimes when the door closes, it looks as if that's the end of your life, but you never know what other windows are still open and where they could lead to. So I really found that very, very, very inspiring and very touching and quite unlike her, to be honest, because she's always on techie stuff, and so again, that story built instant connection because the comment section was like, "Oh my God, this story is for me. Thank you for sharing." And people started to proceed to share their
very
own such
relatable because
stories you know and so
yeah.
immediately, even when one person will share their own such story, another person will say, I can relate to that, and they will start to connect even right there in that
Mm,
comment section. And it was really, really beautiful to see, so and I just wanted to share that to reinforce what you were saying about how stories do build connections, and we should always take them like, you know as seriously as that. So back to the conversation about, if you want to start out and you want to build connection and want to share. Um, it was a good point, about not sharing what everybody else, not what to embarrass your family members or other people. You want to share with caution, with wisdom, with restraint. You don't just share everything. And while I mean, just share with wisdom. Look at people that you follow. Who is it that you really admire? It's not that their life is perfect. It's not that their life is devoid of drama. It's because they've chosen and they consciously curate what they are showing you. It's a conscious curation. It's not no, but you can see the videos now, sharp, clean, edited videos. Are you joking? They know what they are showing you.
Exactly.
They know
Don't just roll out of bed. Even the ones who roll out of bed show you what they want you to see, you know.
they are curated intentionally to evoke intentional emotions in you, evoke intentional comments from you. So don't even joke. These people they know what they're doing. So if you know that you want to actually start out to build a community or whatever, you have to ask yourself, what do I want to share? What do I want to teach? What do I want? What reaction do I want? You know, and then start to curate the content that would create that reaction. Because you have to be intentional about the sharing. And in as much as nobody's telling you to formulate
You
stories, we're
do.
not telling you to make up stories, but you must also be intentional about the reaction that you're expecting. Do you understand? And then some people do it on purpose to say, okay, today I want to shake the table. I want to bring something that will just scatter everywhere. And they do
Bring
it,
a topic
you
that
you
will
see
shake
it.
the table.
You bring a topic that will
Yes.
scatter everywhere. Everybody like, hey, who are people will be at polar opposite. People want to go for their jugular, whatever it is. They say, as they say, no press is bad press. Every press is, everything that brings people to your page is good enough. So some people do that. Some people that are really bold, they do that and say, okay, today let's scatter everywhere. Let's shake the table. Let's get the numbers up. But if you are not that bold, just stick to your gentle stories, eh? But the point is, it's
Exactly.
always intentionally created.
Yes, in whatever corner you are, whatever it is that you share, that you definitely have an audience as long as
Mhm.
you're making sense, because we live in this world of, self-promotion and all. And
Mhm.
another thing that I know that you said at some point is, the media space is the social media space is full of people dominating in taking attention in whatever sphere, because there are so many voices out there for you yourself, for your children,
Mhm.
everything kind of battling for our identity. So
Yeah.
there definitely needs to be more role models out there. If you want to share, you have to definitely share from a point of, okay, you are sharing your experiences and the lessons
Mm.
that you've learned. Just always try and keep it simple, keep it sincere, no over embellishment. I know that that's what the social media space is about, because
Mm.
you invite connections and not comparisons. So nobody is comparing you. You are your unique self. So there can
Yeah.
never be a difference. You definitely have to be intentional at. You just want to stick to your own uniqueness. There's
Yeah.
definitely something unique about your story, about you. Yeah.
Mm. I mean, I agree completely. And that's why, we're doing something in the Women's Growth Academy community this month. We're starting an Empower Her series where we said, okay, everybody needs to be empowered. And we can start from what we have, right? So right now we started with this month's theme, which is what is in your hands. So what do you have? Some people, what they have is a story. Then and they have the confidence and the voice and the personality to go on air and talk about it, then by all means. Some people, they don't want to see any internet. Please don't stress me. I want to just sell 1 naira to make 2 naira. That's okay. Do you see? Some people will say,
But
oh, I
there's
want to
also
teach.
social media pages,
Whatever rocks your boat. Whatever rocks your boat, but that you will sit down there and cross your arms and come and by Christmas and tell me, hey, Coach Brenda, there's no food to feed my children. It's not going to happen. No. Not on my watch. We are all going to come out. We're going to check, what do we have? What can we offer? And where can we start from? because there's so much to be made, not only in terms of money, in terms of impact, influence, and everything else. And because I always say that when you create value, money will flow to value.
Mm.
So you don't go online to
And
say, I'm looking for money.
yeah, another thing
Yeah.
that
You
I'd
just go,
like to,
go
sorry,
ahead,
you
please.
were breaking out. Did you? Okay. No,
Go
so
ahead,
another thing
please.
I
Go ahead.
wanted to, sometimes they will say, oh, does everybody have to write a story or write a book or anything?
Mm,
It doesn't
mm,
work like that. You can also, from your experiences, you build skills, and those skills you can then translate into building a brand, into building a business. For someone who is going through,
absolutely.
some issues, you've obviously built resilience, diligence, you've built,
Mm,
how to pay attention to detail. There's certain skills that you build that when you translate it, because I know that sometimes they'll say when you're interviewing for a role, they'll say, what skills do you
mm,
have? And then you can definitely translate your skills as a stay-at-home mom, because ability to
yeah,
work under pressure, your planning
absolutely.
skills, you can also translate into whatever it is that you want to do. It mustn't necessarily be a story. It could be something else that is impacting
Mm.
lives in whichever way that you want to do so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And talking about transferable skills, I remember when I'd been at home for a while, I'd stopped work and I'd been at home for a few years. And when I wanted to re-enter the career space, the first job I was interviewing at, they said to me, you have 4 children. It's a lie. They said, you're the person for the job. I'm like, what do you mean? They say, you obviously can work under pressure. That's all we need. Just come, just sign up. He was like, I thought it was a joke. And the lady was serious. She was like, I have 2 children. I want to run away. You have 4. Like, how? How are you still put together like this? He said, please, you're the person for us. Just come, you know. And I found it really hilarious. But when I got into the role, I understood why I needed that skill. It's a multi-stakeholder project, multi, as in you are managing up, managing down, managing side, managing everybody wants it. It's like, oh my God. And I was like, okay, I see now. Where my 4 children
So
has trained me for this, because of course children will drag you in different directions. I mean, in fact, some days my husband sits at home and thinks, is this what you go through? Oh my God, I'm out of here. I said, no, come on, you're with me. You need to sit down. It's your children too, and we laugh. So yes, indeed, you can transfer skills. Yes, I mean, I even remember when I first started work, I didn't have any experience of any sort. So when I would go to interviews, I'd tell them things like, oh, I worked in my mother's shop when I was a student. And I worked in restaurants. I learned how to keep books. I learned how to, restock, get stock levels and all of those things. And one person found it very interesting and hired me based on that. So everything that you've passed through, everything you've learned is useful. I was talking to my style other day, and she said, Brenda, you know what, we're excellent planners. We should totally open an events company. I told her, I agree with you. Like,
because
we had
yeah,
just finished.
experiences of planning all that you've planned through, these
She
past
said,
years,
she said we
definitely.
should totally open an event company. We're going to make so much money. I said, I agree with you. Like, where do we start from? We were just laughing. And so all of these skills
So
everything that you
another
pass
thing,
through in life. Mm, please go on.
yeah, another thing that you could even do is, how people go through some experience like that, and before you know it, there's an ebook out,
Mhm.
how to plan a family trip under a budget, and then they just
That's it.
translate. Oh, we went to the UK with, and you're selling an ebook, and
That's it.
that's it. It's not.
That's it.
It mustn't be a 100-pager book. It mustn't be.
Mm.
And through those ebooks or whatever it is that you shared, you put in little parts of your story in it.
And people just need those quick solutions. Those quick
Yes,
solutions. And so something
exactly.
you've aced and mastered. I beg, share. How do we get there? Juicy. Tell us how. I remember when I
Because I
had
remember we
my
were
son.
doing these,
Mm.
yeah, all
When I went to
them
have my
the
son
Lagos
in the US.
boys.
Yeah,
Okay.
Lagos that's why she started to sell us her lunch books. She started
Yeah,
telling us
timetables. Yeah,
her lunch books,
exactly. Exactly. Where everybody was scampering
you
for
know.
timetables, food timetables. So definitely.
Yeah, it was so it was like because we're like, madam, how you not run out of ideas of what to cook for this every day. Like, hello. She now started saying, I say, yes, so I have a lunch timetable. Yeah, share. And, it was money in the bank. Before you know, okay, how do you make this type of food? She will now show it on Instagram. Before you know it, it was a cookbook. And it was just like, it's so there's no end to that thing that you think you do easily, you know, you can totally
Mm,
share it. There's this couple on social media, nowadays it's couples that are just making all the waves. And it depends on what they're sharing. The shops are sharing, yeah, the shops are sharing financial intelligence and how they're raising their children to be financially savvy, even from their young age. I think they have one 5-year-old, one 10-year-old, really small children, like that, and they're showing us how they're doing it. There's this Nigerian man that married the American girl who are always online showing us how they love each other and they are cross cross country love. Like, it's just everybody just shares, right? There's even one couple like follow. But that Igbo man and the Yoruba girl or something like that, their own is hilarious. Like so it's just stories they're sharing, and they're sharing to us what they want us to see. They're entertaining us. They're getting the numbers. Brands are coming because brands just want to be where the people are. So if the people are here, this is where people are gathering now. Okay, now let me go and sponsor so
exactly.
you'll be seeing me. Because otherwise, look at how the brands followed Omoni's movie, the second part of that movie. Oh, this is where all of you are now. Yeah, now let's go. So it's just a matter of consistency. I mean, we talked about consistency when we were starting today. I was like, I was tired, but I needed to join the live, you know. And you had asked me, okay, I hope it's not me that went out. Okay, great. I was afraid. I thought it
Oh,
was me
sorry
that
about
couldn't. Okay, you're back.
that. Yeah.
Excuse me. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry
We're
about
talking about consistency earlier when we were saying that how is it? I was tired. I said I'm tired, but I still came on live today, and I was like, it was something that I was just doing to build a muscle, because you know how they say how you do one thing is how you do others. So I was like, let me try to do what I have to do. And what I really admire most about these people that create content and are showing up every day is their consistency. Because those content are not easy to create. Too. Hey, blood of Jesus. So it's either you're doing it yourself, which is time consuming and energy consuming, or you're paying someone to do it,
it.
which is
Yeah.
money consuming. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So no, there's no easy way. There's no easy way around it. There's just something is given. So when you see them, please reward them with your likes and your comments. Don't just pass by and be beefing them like, this one now has 10,000 followers. Hello, it's work. Please just drop a like, drop
It's
a
a lot
heart.
of
It's not
work.
easy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I went to Wimbledon today. I tried to curate my experience. I was tired. I just gave up. So I can't do it. I cannot. Like, leave
But
me.
yeah, yeah, another thing that, like when you go on, I think it was Facebook, like them Facebook coaches that started it. Oh, just go live, and they're like, go live on
Yes.
what? What am I doing that I'm going live on?
Mm,
But when you start building that muscle, like you said, it definitely it will definitely pay off one of these days. It's not just for the money, like you said, but for that impact. And like sometimes we're also trying to, oh, who is going to hear? But if you do have a story, there's someone to listen, there's somebody it would impact, no matter what
there's
it
always
is,
someone.
it will definitely impact.
There's always
Yeah.
someone. There's always someone. I mean, and they say to us that, if some are called to 1,000, some are called to 10,000, some are called to 1,000,000, some are called to one. The point is to open your mouth and speak. So the one whom you're called to will hear it. Because if you don't speak, thinking, oh, who am I? What do I have to share? After all, I don't really have 10,000, 15,000, 100,000 followers. The one whom you are called to will miss the opportunity to hear that wisdom that God has placed in you. So speak anyway. Speak anyway, even if you're going live and there's nobody on the call. Speak anyway. Somebody will come and watch the replay. Speak anyway, even if you're live and you
Somebody will
think
come.
you're alone. Yes, because God has somebody that He wants to hear that message. And it may not even be then. It may be 2 weeks later, or 4 weeks later, or 7 weeks later. Somebody will happen on that live and it will be just the information that they needed to hear that day. But if you never did it,
Definitely.
how would the person be able to find it? I receive messages from people and they say, "Oh, thank you. The thing that you shared was something I needed that time." I'm like, what did I share? I can't even remember. Do you see? Some of them even bring the link and say, this thing that you shared. Some of them will even say, but sometimes you can't even remember because as it comes, you just say it, just share it and just get it. You're just doing it. You're not looking for anything. You're just sharing it because okay, it came to you. And then somebody comes later and says, "Oh, thank you, that blessed me. That was what I needed to hear." So that's really what the life is about. That's really what this whole storytelling and all of the things that we do is to just to bless others. It's not really about us. It's not really about what we can gain or not gain. It's more about who are we blessing and who are we to, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I have another question for you, Nena. So somebody like you, when you introduce yourself, you said you're a chartered accountant, mom of three, you run a family business, you're a consultant and this and that. If somebody like you wanted to start to share stories to build a community or connection, for example, where do you think you would start from? Oh, I was just asking our guest a very important question. She needs to come back because I don't understand what's going on with her network today. We can't afford to have this. We are having a good time talking with her. My name is Brenda Unu, and we've been having a conversation with Nnenna. Oh, there she is. She's back. Awesome.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening with my network, but thank God it's back. We rebuke the
Yes, so
devil.
in fact, we are here for it. We must finish this conversation. So like somebody be listening
Okay, so
and
your
thinking, oh,
question,
but I do a lot of things, where would I start from if I needed to share my story? What part of my story would I start from? I mean, so back to you, let's make it personal to you. What would you think would be, a good place to start?
okay, for me, I would say maybe I would share probably my parenting journey.
Okay.
As you know, I'm a widow. I have two girls, and so it's definitely been a journey. There have been many
Mhm.
lessons to learn along the way. There's been questions, struggles, challenges. So I would definitely share from that angle because um, not because it has any pain points or whatever struggles or anything, but because of the lessons that I've learned. Because I remember that there was this proverb people used to say then, oh, what two people they used to say it in Igbo, what two people would do together and was it struggle with, one person now has to do it because of course of the loss of the spouse. So I would share my journey through the years. I have three girls, and it's definitely been a journey, but with many blessings. Because I understand that it's not just about being a single parent, it's what you do from there on. How do you navigate? How do you build a support system that would help you do the things that you need to do? How do you encourage your children? Because, of course, they go out there, they have classmates, they have friends, they would ask about their father. How do they, manage those conversations? How do you go through parenting, because you're now parenting alone, but I know that I'm parenting with God the Father. So those kind of things, because sometimes you would hear even parents, both husband and wife, mom and dad, and they're struggling, and then you're like, okay, if two people are struggling, then of course I should thank God for where I'm at. It might not be
Yeah.
perfect, but it's definitely something that anybody could learn. I heard quite recently, I heard a man of God, and he was like, some children will make you, how did he put it? Some children will turn you into a prayer warrior, because children, you know, beautiful blessings,
No,
and they
no,
will turn you into, and like
because
like I have
you just know that
my
this one, no,
daughter.
I cannot. God just help me.
Exactly. Like one of my daughters would question because she's very inquisitive, she's very intelligent. So you must come ready with your
Must come
answers,
correct
because
too.
she will keep
Yes, so.
asking, come correct. And you might tell her, oh, we're going to we're going to visit somebody today. Oh, why are we going? What are we? And I'm like, why are you asking? But in this day of intentional parenting,
But
it's all
that's
about conversations. And
mm,
yeah, the unique thing about sharing from that parenting angle is we're not parenting like our parents. Every child is
mm,
different. Every child is an individual human being. Every child, you
yeah,
are you are you are speaking to, when you're parenting, you're speaking to that child's spirit, to the child's
yeah,
destiny. You're not just parenting in a blanket way. What you do for
mm,
this one is not what you do for the second one. It's not what you do. So that is, it's something that I would, would definitely want to talk about, would share
mm,
about, because definitely many
yeah.
lessons from there. We're still a work in progress, but you know, I can't remember where somebody put is or when your children grow to teenagers, you can now rest. I said every journey of
Rest,
parenting,
okay.
for and I recently heard something about, oh, preteens, that there's a phase of preteens. I said,
My
okay,
dear.
maybe that's what I went through at that point too. Because
Mm,
then my elders were preteens and there was a lot of, back and
gas goes.
and then now that she's fully in her teenage years, we're now all on the smooth sailing,
Mm,
phase. So now that the younger ones are in their preteens and teens, I can then see some of those things, and I'm like, oh, we've been here, done that. You
yeah.
don't even test me because So yeah, definitely from the parenting angle, I know we can't. We're not all the parenting. It doesn't have a manual. You just learn as you go. You try to you become as intentional as you are, because we're not parenting like our parents, like they will say. Yeah, so that's where I'll definitely share from.
I love that you chose that place. And even as you spoke, your eyes lit up. We could see, the excitement in your voice. I kid you not. I was almost doing a screenshot for you to see how you were looking, just speaking about your journey. And as somebody
Because
who is doing it together and sweating, I can completely,
mm,
I can't wait to hear,
mm,
your journey and how you share because I'm always thinking like, hey, God, I beg you. How are these people coping? Because my son the other day was trying to give me drama. I just called his father. I said, "Listen, this one is not on me. Deal with it because what is this? I'm not even the headspace. Just go and deal with your son." It was just funny because
available for
now if
everyone.
do you understand? So if you had to do that, what would you do? So there's always that. There's a
Yeah.
lot of and all of that. I think that we'll be happy to read about or learn about in your book or whatever way you want to share it. If it's a series of lives, whatever it is, we're here for it. But I mean, I really like that you shared that. And I want to use this as an example. So when somebody looks at their life and thinks, oh, I do so many things, where do I start from? It doesn't have to be your career. I'm an architect. Do you see me sharing about
Yeah,
architecture? People don't think
exactly,
this
exactly.
is my day job and my highest earner, like my highest, and I'm still doing it. It's the thing that gave me the most money. In fact, today somebody still called me today to say, oh, she got a new space and she was thinking of an architect, and then my name came to mind. I'm still an architect, very, very much an architect. Forget all this book you're hearing me
And
talk about. Booking, coaching, they are still coming second or third in my life. Do you see? But that's not what I talk about all the time because I've been there, done that. I'm 20 years experience on architect. I'm getting better every day and I'm still doing what I'm doing. That's not the one I want to put forward. So when you want to think about what you want to put forward, don't be limited by, oh, this is what I do. Hey, how people see me, how people
mm,
know. There's people saying I'm an architect because if you want to introduce me anywhere, that's my first title. Brenda is an
exactly.
architect, then an art author, art coach, everything. So I don't even play. It's plenty years of degree. So don't worry about it. They will remember that I'm an architect. But the point is, don't be limited by saying, oh, this is what I studied in school. Nena is a chartered accountant. She did not come out and say she wants to come and be teaching people how to do accounting for small businesses, which is valid if she decides to do that. Do you understand? It's valid. It's not, I'm not knocking it. It is valid, but that's not what she chose. And so I'm just trying to let you know that you have options. You can choose anything from your wide experiences. Like we're teaching in the Empower House series. What do you have? What have you gone through? What tools are in your hand? what do you like to do? No, look at
Exactly.
all of those things and find something. Somebody will be sharing about like that Miss Techie. She likes the tech. You need to see her excited and her eyes lighting up when she's talking about all these tech innovations that she finds out. She loves it. I don't know that she read it in school. Oh. I'm not sure. I didn't ask her. Mhm. It's possible that she did not. So it's just the truth is what do you like?
Exactly. It's possible that you didn't. Yeah.
What
Mm.
do you like to do? Because you're going to be doing this thing over and over and over. You cannot be tired. Like me now. I was tired when I started this life, Abby. Do I look tired anymore? No. Because I've picked up, I'm doing what I love to do. So I don't, it doesn't require
When you
energy
start,
from me. Yes, it doesn't require, it doesn't take out
mm,
energy from me. Instead, it gives me energy. It energizes me. So I started out tired, but now I'm like, see me, I'm like, I can go how many more hours. That's really what it does when you pick something that you like,
oh,
something that you love to do. That's what it is. So in picking, I also I should tell you people, they want to start story.
mm,
Don't go and do the one that you start when you do three and I'm bored. We won't see you again. See, this is my 88th
mm,
episode of this
mm.
program. 88th. I told you that by December it will be 2 years. Now, what does that mean? Why don't I get tired?
It's a
Somebody
big.
was saying to me that day, that, how are you doing it? I said, I don't even prepare for the classes. And I tell any of my friends, any of my guests, it's a it's an off the cuff conversation.
Free-
All we have to do, yeah,
Yes,
it's
exactly.
freestyle. So I just give you the topic, you research on it, I research on it as well, and we start to talk. We don't prepare questions and rehearse question and answer. There's no need. We'll continue to talk about it as the spirit leads and from our vast experiences, because we've all lived life long enough to know enough to be able to share without biting our tongues. Do you see?
You
so
can
so
imagine
pick the
undergrads who
path
are
of least
now sharing.
resistance.
Yeah, you can imagine undergrads who are now sharing, their academic process of how I saw this content the other day, how to achieve a 4.0 GPA and how what you need to start doing.
Yes.
So these
I've
are
been saving
the
them,
things that we
man.
didn't.
Saving them. I send it to my girls, like, follow this
I know,
person,
I see that, you know. You're never too young or too old, really. I remember, like I was going to remind you, I remember one of your lives where you had, I think it was a 70-year-old grandma. That was last
Mm,
year.
mhm,
And her,
mhm.
her session was, and I was like, and
It
she's
was so
70
lively,
years
so upbeat. I
old.
remember her.
Said you need to bring her up again, and so from that season of life to what however, not well, of course, not minors, but at least when you come of age and you have something to tell, a lot of children, a lot of young teenagers are doing, oh, watch me relocate from Nigeria to Canada. And then my daughter was looking at it the other day. I said, do you want to do your you so definitely we have things to share, yeah.
Yes, there are things to share. There are things to share. And if you watch these young ones, you have an idea of the things because they don't know even nothing is beyond sharing for them. And which is okay when
Yeah.
you're young. But some of us are
Yeah.
not too young to get away with anything. So you also have to be careful about what you choose to share. And again, share what you love and what can give you enough sustainable content because you're going to be talking and talking and talking about this. Will you get bored after five? Will you get bored after 10 sessions?
Yeah.
Or is it something that you can get evergreen topics on this matter? So in that way, you can think about it and make sure that you do something that will last. So we've had a nice conversation today, Nana. I think thank you so much for joining and the angle in which you carried us, which is why you see, which is why I like this freestyle. If it's only me you thought to talk about this thing, I would not have even gone in some of the direction that you did. So I love I love it when the Holy Spirit brings you people and brings you with your own direction, your own ideas. And I'm like, okay, so let's follow whatever you say is fine. And I find that I'm able to chip in, the ideas I had, and together we enrich the conversation, which is really what it's about. So thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for sharing your story, your own journey, and giving us insights about how we can start. But if you wanted to
Thank
to round up, right? If you wanted everybody listening to leave with one thing, like one thing that you said that they should go away with, if they forget anything else, what would that one thing be?
There are definitely a lot, but I would say, your story matters, and through your story, somebody's healing is hidden in your story, somebody's breakthrough. Your story
Mm,
is a channel to empower people, to impact people. So I feel that we should all remember that our stories matter in whatever form or shape it comes in. It's not all doom and gloom. There's success stories, there's triumph stories, there's beautiful stories, there are beautiful love stories outside of there. So remember that your story
mm.
matters.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Nnenna is one of our uh, cohort students in the Amplify You coaching class. You guys should look out for her upcoming book. You're gonna love it. So I let the cat out of the bag here first. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I mean, for me, you
Thank you
know how
so
we do it here. It's every Tuesday. You'll be here. We're here every Tuesday, 7 p.m. WAT. We're talking about women's matters and things that concern women, and we just it's brought to you by the Women's Growth Academy, which is a community of women who love God, who are growing together to do better and be everything that they want to be. Look out for the announcement of our WGA conference 2026. We've started to plan for that
Yay.
already, and it's going to be bumper 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 conference. But stay tuned. Follow us on Instagram, follow us everywhere, and just stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining. We love you. And good night.
Thank you. Good night.